I'd like to call this public hearing to order. This time I'll have our solicitor explain what this meeting's for, and then I'll turn it over to the Redevelopment Authority and to their solicitor, Mr. Tovine. You have a mic.
All right, let me get it.
You guys all have mics? Tony, you got a mic?
No, I don't. Right here.
Dave?
I have one.
Okay.
Okay, the Local Economic Revitalization Tax Assistance Act, otherwise known as ALERTA, provides that if the borough and the other taxing authorities are going to consider providing a tax exemption to commercial property, the first thing that needs to be done is the borough needs to establish the boundaries of the ALERTA area, which are called deteriorated properties, similar to what was done with the Lennox, the Dial property years ago. So the advertisement for this public hearing indicates that tax parcels 42473 and 42436, otherwise known as the Mill Run property, are the designated areas. So that what's being designated is the exact property that's looking to be purchased for this project. So that's what this hearing is for, to determine those boundaries and to discuss, whether this makes sense or not. By letter dated June 17th, I put all of the taxing authorities, the school district, the county, on notice of this hearing, and if these properties are designated, then the next step would be for council to consider adopting ALERTA, and then of course it would be up to the school district and the county to decide if they also are going to adopt it. So that's the purpose of tonight's hearing.
So what I'll do, Mr. White, I'll have you explain whatever you and Alan want to do, and then if the audience, the school board, whoever wants to get up and speak, will answer any questions they have, or council. So you're on.
Okay. I just wanted to go over a little history of the site so we get an idea of what we do at the Redevelopment Authority before we get down to the ALERTA, why we need ALERTAs, and how they help us to put properties back, especially difficult properties. We're talking about a property that was vacated in 2008. Previous to that, it was, of course, the Delaware Valley Hospital. It's been vacant and for sale for nearly 4 years before a group from the council, a couple of people from the ward, Craig Pezza and Lorraine, and others here, we were able to sit down, meet with the owners of that property. It had deteriorated further and further as it sat, to a point where it was starting to be an eyesore. We were able to negotiate in 2012 to purchase that property. We purchased it in 2012, and of course kept it going from there to now. There was a lot of things had to happen. We knew we couldn't keep the electric on. We had to get the electric turned off, which meant we had to get a temporary service put in to run it. Things you have to do. We also wanted to shut down the expensive fire suppression system, which meant we had to get rid of all the combustibles out of the building, which took some time to get done so that we could begin to find somebody to redevelop it. As a matter of fact, after we got the building all shut down, we put out an RFP for the building, and we really got a lot of interest in this building. The unfortunate thing was half of them weren't qualified for what we wanted to do. They wanted to put apartments in, affordable housing, condos, a million things that really just didn't seem to fit into Bristol Borough's uses here. And then, of course, you have to remember, you're going back in 2008 when 168 people had to find a new place to convalesce. Not to mention today even. Lower Bucks Hospital sends about 50 people a month out of the hospital to convalesce. They don't have any place to go. They end up going north, end up in St. Mary's Hospital, new doctors. So when you get these tough jobs to do, you got to come up with some answers that'll help do it. I call it creative financing packages. That's where you can get some lower interest loans, tax credits, tax breaks, different types of funding sources that helps to make people redevelop properties like this, adaptive reuse. The good thing about this one, we'll have their solicitor talk, or lawyer talk to you from the buyer, tell you a little bit more about what they're going to do. But this LRTA actually provides that at the end of when the job's done, and it's going to take 731 days from the time we settle, we can settle when this LRTA is done within 30 days. So the 731-day calendar starts. It won't take 731 days, but they have to have it done and be operating. So when the 731 days are done, whatever taxes the building was paying the day we went in there, acquired the property will be immediately paid again. So we're not talking about any tax dollars that the borough has ever gotten, the school district or the county. We're talking about the money that's going to be used to improve the property. It would get paid over 10 years, 10% the first years, 20, 30, 40 to 100. Does two things. It allows the guy to put the buyers to put more money into the property. It also allows them an opportunity to be operating full-fledged before they get hit with a 60 or 100% tax increase. And we don't know what the tax increase would be because it's not up to the redevelopment authority or the borough to set that. That'll be set by the county. They'll actually set up at the end of the project when it's done exactly how much the tax will be. And they'll say exactly how much will be exempt. There won't be a question or argument about it. It'll be done by them. So that takes us to where that goes. It helps us to recover. We went through a lot of people. I had a lot of help from this borough. And I got to tell you, there's a lot of people we went through. A lot had the ideas. A lot of money was spent on people trying to do this. And it really come down to the point where it was getting to be a financial hard project to get done. You were working in an old hospital, 168 beds. It doesn't convert to a whole lot of other things. I know they're having an architect look at it to see what they can do to change it. And I believe they're going to try to make it into more beds. But the thing is, we were able to sit down, came up with one developer. That deal didn't work. It didn't work because their user requested that they be tax-free for 40 years. I don't know if any of you remember that meeting, but that was what killed that deal in the end. So we were fortunate to find a for-profit owner that'll actually own the property and lease it to a nonprofit, and they will be paying taxes. So there's not a question about that. So we've gone through everything. We've vetted these people out. We've worked with them. We've got them set up. We know they have the ability to do the job. We've met with their user. We also know that the user's qualified to use, I'm even on it, you know what I mean, Medicaid and Medicare. And, so we don't have to qualify for that. Some of the people you get have to qualify for a lot of things. So they have several years in working on sites like this, working on these types of projects. So really, we're down to that last thing to get this thing done today, if we can, and to let you know a little bit about the uses. I'd like to ask Mike Hollister to give you a little insight on the use and when they think they can get started to do the project.
Sure, thanks, Bob. Hello, it's good to see all of you again. My name's Mike Hollister. I represent the buyer. So, like Bob said, the goal here is to, from when we sign when the alert agreement is signed, we want to close within 30 days, and then within 2 years, we plan to have a certificate of occupancy to operate what we're planning to be a 300-bed multi-use facility. There'll be therapy, speech, occupational, physical. There'll be a long-term care unit for chronic conditions such as ventilator therapy or diabetes. We are envisioning an adult daycare center. And I use the phrase envisioning because we have we're performing a cost-benefit analysis to see what service is most needed in the Bristol Borough and surrounding communities and what's going to be cost-effective. This project is going to have kind of a 1-2 punch in an economic sense. There are going to be, we anticipate 200 construction jobs generated from when we began construction, demolition work, which can start really soon. And then, more importantly, there will be 250 full-time jobs, skilled care jobs created, and 50 part-time skilled care jobs created. And they'll last. I mean, they'll last as long as the hospital, the facility, we'll call it, is in use. And we also envision an additional 200 supplier jobs, such as landscaping, maintenance, those sorts of positions that aren't directly related to skilled care. So this is going to be good for the township in that it's going to create a revenue generating source for years to come. Good for the community in that it's going to fill a vacuum right now on the healthcare front where your citizens will be able to get quality care here and they won't have to truck down to Philadelphia or somewhere else. Good for the local healthcare practitioners because they'll be able to keep their patients. And it's going to be a win-win.
I think it's a no-brainer, but we'll hear what everybody's got to say. Alan, you have anything?
Yeah, Alan Toadvine, solicitor for the Redevelopment Authority. The real purpose of tonight's meeting, obviously, is to establish the boundaries for the LRTA. And basically, you know, it's these two tax parcels, 42473, 42436. And the fact that, as Bob stated earlier, it's been vacant since 2008, has not had any users since then, clearly would fall under the definition of a blighted area under the Act of November 29, 1967, and the Urban Redevelopment Law. So I think it's clear that this particular property has been stressed for quite some time and therefore would qualify for the LRTA.
Thank you. Okay, you want me to go to the public or you want me to go to council? Bob?
Go council first. It doesn't matter to me, really.
Dave, you have anything?
No,
Tony?
welcome. Glad to see it moving forward, and I'm very optimistic.
Tony?
Yeah, I guess the only question that I have is, what we're doing right now is just basically we're figuring out what the area is going to be. So basically that's all we're doing. Is we're setting the area, the two tax parcel numbers that is going to be eligible for the LRTA, and that's what we're, deciding on at this point.
It's going to be an agenda item for next week to
Okay.
vote on
Right.
to approve the tax break or not.
Gotcha. No.
Betty?
No, I think it's a win-win. I mean, I work in healthcare, and I think this town needs something like this. The people in this area need something like this. It's kind of difficult for people to even get to St. Mary's when they don't have transportation, so I'm hoping it works out for the best for everyone. Thank you.
Lorraine?
I'm thankful that we're going to be getting some tax revenue at all, so it's a good thing.
Okay. That side of the room, anybody want to speak on anything, go to the podium and state your name.
Yeah, my name is John D'Angelo. I just had a question. You said that you want to close right away, and that's great, and then you have 731 days, which is 2 years, to get the place up to snuff. And then the LRTA would start once you've kind of got this occupancy permit, so it's and then it would run from 10 years. So I guess I'm trying to establish when the clock starts ticking on the land.
Probably 2017.
2017, so in other words, they have up to 2 years to fix it up? Okay.
Yeah, we have 2 years to get us certified bonds.
Thank you.
Anybody else on this side of the room would like to speak on anything? Anybody on this side of the room? Okay, that ends public participation. I just want to give my opinion on the whole thing. I know there was a lot of talk on the Lennox property, and we did the LERTA for the Lennox property and things like that, which some people were in favor of, some people weren't. But just let me explain, if we did nothing, by us being aggressive and bringing in, I mean, at the time it was Governor Rendell and the redevelopment authority, and making this deal happen, I just want to explain what it did for Bristol Borough, for the borough and for the school district. First of all, the building we were getting no tax revenue at all from the Dial building because it was shut down. But in 2006, when we put this deal together, the building was assessed. I think at that time, there was no assessment on the building. Boroughs start receiving, what you got to understand about LERT is, they pay the tax on the base. So whatever you were paying, let's just use $100,000, and they go put $1 million into it. They only pay the difference on the $1 million. You still get the $100,000 no matter what. So you don't lose tax money. But Lennox started in 2006 generating $25,000 to the borough and $51,000 to the school district. In 2007, when they got assessed, it went to $56,000 for the borough and $128,000 for the school district. And then in 2008, it went to $67,000 and $163,000. But in 2015, well, let me use 14 because the school taxes haven't been out yet. In 2014, the borough receives $75,533 from Lennox, and the school district receives $230,518 from Lennox, which everybody said was a bad deal at the time. Now, in 2017, when their LERTA is over, the school district, the borough, first of all, will receive an additional $60,444, which will bring the new tax to the borough at $135,977. It'll bring the school district in 2017 $369,713. So that shows you, by being aggressive and making this deal happen with Lennox, how important it was for these two entities to get this kind of money. If not, Dial could have been sitting there forever. Who knows what would happen to that? So LERTA is a very good thing, and if you read some articles in different newspapers, like Camden right now, there was an article, they want to give $164,000 to a water, $164 million to a water company to come in and move their headquarters there. So I took it a step further and I said, let me do Mill Run property. First of all, you got to go back to 2008 when there was an appeal put in to the court system that they were overpaying their taxes. So if we would have went to court with Mill Run at that time, which they probably would have won because we had that building assessed at $5 million. Everybody knows it's not worth $5 million. So the school district was on the hook to pay them back if they won $200,000, if they won, which they would have won. And the borough was on a hook, I think, for like $50,000 at the time. So we end up settling, that went away, and we took the building for $135,000 with the help of the redevelopment authority. So the school districts and the borough, you hear people say, well, you're not receiving any tax base. Well, first of all, if we had to pay back the tax money, which we lost, and they reassessed that building, which they probably would have won, the borough would have got a couple $1,000, and the school district would have got about $15,000 a year that they lost since 2008. So they lost about $60,000 in taxes, which you benefited because you would have had to pay them back $200 if it went to court. But let's get into what is Mill Run going to do for Bristol Borough taxpayers, for the school district, and for the borough. In 2017, and Mr. D'Angelo, just to let you know, if they're finished, and we're hoping they are by 17, the borough will receive, based on a $5 million assessment. Now, if they put $7 million into the building, their assessment's going to go to $12 million. It could even be more, it could be $20 million, we don't know, but I'm using low numbers. The borough would receive $29,843. The school district would receive $81,141, and the county would receive $12,224. That's in 2017. Now, 2018, they start paying on the additional money that they're going to put into this property. So they base it, they're going to have a 90% tax break in 2018. So in 2018, we'll get 10% more. In 2019, 20%, like Mr. White said. In 20, we'll get 30% more, until we get down to 2027 when it's over. But just to give you the new numbers, starting in 18, the school district the borough will pick up $4,356, the school district $11,843, on top of the $81,000 and on top of the $29,000, which will bring their grand total $141,000. But let me get to 10 years, which, you know, most of us probably won't be here in 10 years, but this is what it's going to do for the future. In 10 years, the school district, the borough will receive $29,843, which we're doing from 17 to 27. But we're going to pick up an additional $43,556. The school district will pick up the $81,141 for the 10 years, but they'll pick up an additional $118,427. So we're going to end up with 73,000, almost 75,000 using round numbers. The school district's going to pick up almost $200,000 using round numbers. So if anybody thinks this isn't the right deal because you're giving a lure to somebody, has no clue how to generate revenue for Bristol. And like you said, that building, thank God they came in town and they want to do this project. Not only it benefits the taxpayers and everybody else, it benefits the seniors of this town that are going to different nursing homes, you know, out of town, because we don't have anything here for them to go to. So, you know, we're all getting older, and we have parents and elderly relatives that are in nursing homes that are not in Bristol. How nice would it be to just drive to Wilson Avenue to visit somebody in your family that's in nursing care? So I'm urging council, I don't even think this is a question, that we approve something like this the following week, and I'm asking the manager to make this an agenda item for next Monday for us to vote on. And I say we welcome this company with open arms. Mike, I really appreciate everything you're doing for your company to get this moving as fast as possible. And we just hope that the school board has the vision to vote for this at their meeting and move forward. And we hope that the county also, you know, has the vision to approve this, because you need all three of us to agree on this. Mr. Tovine.
Yeah, Mr. Giuseppe. One thing, and I know it's been touched on before, but I just want to make it clear. As long as the redevelopment authority owns this structure, owns these parcels, nobody's getting any taxes. We're exempt. So, you know, if this goes on for another 10 years, it's zero in taxes, until we can find an end user, a redeveloper, to utilize the property.
Well, just, one more thing. I have this here. This was from a previous councilman. This is his letter that he gave us. He wanted to purchase the property at one time for $1.5 million, and he estimated $500,000 to demolish it at a cost of $2 million to taxpayers. I don't know where we would have got this money. And then he figured if you sold homes and you put so many homes per acre. But the key to this whole thing is with Lennox and with Mill Run, there's 0 children in the school system. There's 0 burden on the school system. So not only you're picking up a few $100,000 a year in taxes, you have no kids. So it's like somebody coming in handing the school district $200,000 a year without any impact on the school district. I mean, to me, it's a win-win for this town. And we have something for our seniors to fall back on. So again, I mean, I don't know, how anybody feels about this, but again, to me, it's probably one of the best things that we could put forth for the taxpayers. And again, there's no impact on our school system or on the borough. So again, it's a win-win for everybody, and I don't see this not being approved by council next Monday, and I'm hoping the school doesn't jerk this around and you guys got to wait. I hope they call a meeting and get this over with immediately.
I think you can't
Pardon me?
forget all the jobs that this is creating.
Well,
for
we're
this
hoping,
small-
I know a lot of people say, well, we didn't get any jobs out of Lennox, or we didn't get any jobs, but we can't, I mean, look, everybody that comes in here says we're hoping to give first preference to the borough. And we understand that, but we can't base this, it's illegal to say, you've got to give us jobs. They all say they are. If they do, they do. If they don't, I foresee a lot of people in this town benefiting through the jobs, because a lot of them are jobs that people in this town could qualify for.
It's going to, even when you look at the jobs, I know that when I'm looking for people, and I had 2 qualified people, one from Bristol and one from Philadelphia. I'm picking Bristol, and not because I don't like Philadelphia, by the way, but because I know the Bristol guy's getting to work in a snowstorm. Smart people think like that, so I think they're going to help here. I know that the thing that I really wanted to tell you was everybody was naysayers about that Dial property, that they were going to move out and be done at the end of the 10 years. And those of you who don't know, they just re-signed the lease a few years ago to 2025.
Awesome.
So those are the kind of things that creative financing packages, and that's what Alert is. It's a way to get more money put into the job to make it a successful job.
You're right, Bob.
Good luck and thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to say that Mr. Greg Pez is on vacation this week, and he sent me an email today, and he asked if I just read his 2 sentences into the record. And basically it says, "I stand firmly in favor of alerting and hope council and the school board vote yes on it as soon as possible. In my opinion, it's a win-win for all parties involved."
Does anybody else have anything before I adjourn this meeting?
I just
Check.
have another question. When you talk about...
Why don't you go there so everybody can hear you?
Yeah.
When you talk about Lennox, right? But Lennox isn't really the owner of that, or they don't own that.
They're a tenant.
They're a tenant, okay. So it's really, is it Preferred Properties?
Preferred, who sold it. Preferred was the one we did the deal with.
Okay.
And then they sold the property to another buyer, and then they just sold off the homes to another buyer.
And so each time, so once Alerta is granted to a property,
It runs with
it
the-
stays with it, okay. And that's just, because we're saying it's Lennox, but really they're just a tenant.
Well,
Okay,
by
yeah.
Lennox coming in is what made the deal
Right,
work.
okay, right.
The
But-
governor brought in, they moved from Jersey to Bristol, and that was part of the deal, that they gave them tax breaks, and then we did the alerter for them, and which made it work. I mean, think about what we're generating.
No, listen,
With zero impact.
we
on the
voted, I think we voted unanimously for that Lennox.
Right.
Look, you have to give up something now,
But I don't
but
think
it's a long term.
I don't think a lot of people understand it. Everybody thinks it's a tax break. It's not a tax break. You're getting tax money on on what the building's assessed for. They're only not paying the tax on the improvement to the property.
You know, you might want to characterize it as an incentivized, an incentive for investment, and that's really what it is. Because who's going to invest that kind of money in a building that size, and again, trying to find the right fit. So, you know, that's kind of our, you know, I'll go back, I can't speak for the whole group. I mean, I can go back to the board.
I'm hoping
As
that you-
everybody is away, we are going to have an emergency meeting in July, probably the week of the 20th, to pass some other things, but I'm thinking that we will
hope
have it
it's-
on our agenda for our first August meeting, so I don't think that
I
would be
mean,
3
if you
weeks
can
away.
get it done in July, would be great. I mean, you have enough time. These people want to move forward, and so does the redevelopment authority.
We'll reach out to their solicitor and we'll see.
It's
if we can get it on the
it's an
agenda.
agenda item.
Okay.
And you
Thank
make an
you, Chair.
agenda item and vote.
You know, I just want to point out, you made a good point there about the tenant is Lennox. But the tenant would not be there if we didn't give them alert so we could lower the square foot cost just about $1.80 a square foot.
Right.
That's what brought that about, so.
Sure, the whole
That's
thing-
what's important about these things. That's how we do get this kind of tenants.
It's like the owner of this property is going to lease it to whoever this company is.
Right.
And for them to make it work, they need this tax break. I mean, you're investing probably $12 million in renovations in this project, which is going to be here forever.
Well, it looks like that, guys, something like that's gonna, you know, it's gonna fit in again.
Okay, I think that's it. This meeting's adjourned.